So this is something that really I call the blueprint to yes. And this framework is literally responsible for every dollar I've ever made, selling things through marketing. I believe personally that this is the single most powerful selling method in the world, whether you're selling in person or you're selling in a live conference like this one or a video conference thingy like this one. Obviously, we're not in the same room. Or if you're selling from stage or if you're selling in sales letters. I mean, this is like the thing. This is like the one thing, right, that really profoundly helps people and gets people ready to buy from you. And it does so while preserving and creating a tremendous amount of goodwill. So here's the deal. No matter what, all right, every product you ever create. Now, during our training together, I'm going to walk you through how to make 5 products, and I'm going to walk you through 4 big ticket offers as well while we work together. So it doesn't matter what you're selling, it's going to follow this framework, which is cool because that means we have like one thing that we always can go back to. So there's no overwhelm involved, which is great. You know, who wants overwhelm, right? That's no fun. Every marketing campaign ever is going to be dictated by this framework. Now, who's watching this going, you know what? I bet Kern's got something for sale here. Well, you're right. I do. And guess what framework I'm following? This one. You'll see in a minute. You'll literally watch this in action by watching me do it. It's pretty cool. I don't have anything to tell you today during this presentation. I should, though, shouldn't I? What kind of marketer am I? Every dollar, like I said, ever made selling information has been the result of religiously following this framework. And if you follow this, you're never going to have writer's block. You're never going to be overwhelmed. You're never going to be stuck, right? So this is very simple. It's very easy. It's very effective. And I guess the major, probably most important benefits is your products are going to be awesome and your customers are going to be happy, right? How many like customers would I have if my book sucked? They'd buy the book and they'd be like, that book sucked. I never want to hear from this guy again. But my book buyers buy over and over and over again because the books are good. The books are good because I follow this framework, you see. Yay, it's a big happy like circle. So here's the thing. Here's what people really buy, okay? It doesn't matter if it's a book, if it's a course, or if it's a seminar, if it's a professional service. It could be even a new wardrobe. It doesn't matter. What people really buy is the following, okay? What they're really buying is something called escape and arrival, all right? They're trying to escape from where they don't want to be. Now, typically that's not a physical location. That's an emotional state, or it is a situation, right? And they're trying to arrive to where they do want to be. I'll diagram this out for you in a minute here. Now, your job is to simply map out their escape route and help them arrive to where they want to arrive to. And we do this following a framework, and that framework is called the Escape and Arrival Framework. By the way, if you like this, guys, hit the love button. That just sounds funny, doesn't it? Hit the love button on the Facebooks. And if you're watching this on Facebook, if you're watching it on my site, share it with your friends, man. Copy and paste that URL. Send it to some friends of yours, assuming you have permission to contact them, of course, all right? So let's talk about this escape and arrival framework. I'm telling you, super simple. You follow this, it'll change your life. Ever since I discovered this, life has been so much easier for me. I discovered it back in 2004. Everything changed. Like literally, my income went from following this thing. Follow it religiously. I've been teaching it forever. Won't stop teaching it until I stop breathing. All right, so here's the deal. We map this out on 2 levels, okay? Level number 1 is called the global escape and arrival level. And in this level, what we do is we make a list of everything your prospect, let's say your reader, everything your reader has to do to escape their current situation and then arrive at their desired situation, okay? So really what it is this is the big picture overview of what they got to do. So the way I learned this, you can come back to me, by the way, Sass, if you want to. The way I learned this is years ago in 2004, I think. It's been a long time. Through some freaking miraculous series of events, a New York Times best-selling author, legitimate actual person, agreed to let me, who was completely unknown, help them with their marketing. And the person, his name was Neil Strauss, he's a friend of mine to this day, had written a book on dating advice for men. And I somehow got him, my cousin Trey did it with me, we somehow got him to agree to have us help him create a dating advice product, which is like 5 times more than any other product of its kind in the marketplace, and do the marketing for it. All right, and so we never thought he'd say yes. So we put all of our work into getting the guy to say yes, right? And then when he said yes, we're like, well, okay. Now what do we do, right? And he's like, well, put together the marketing and help these guys and let's sell the thing, And so we told him how to create the course and he did everything perfectly. He's an amazing guy. And then we're kind of tasked with doing the marketing. Now, this stuff is about dating, right? It's about for guys to go out and learn how to meet beautiful women and convince those women to go out on dates with them. And so that sounds really good, but the people writing the marketing were me and Trey, and neither one of us had any clue how to do that, okay? Like, we were both just straight out of the nerd handbook, all right? Like, if you looked up, like, super dork, it would be us. So we had no idea what to do. So we're like, okay, we don't know what to say in the marketing, right? And then we're like, dude, Neil, we have this brilliant idea, and we think we should do a series of teleseminars. This is before like webinars are even big. This is on the phone. We're like, we should do a series of teleseminars where you kind of teach dudes like the basic steps of what to do. And really, between you and I, we were kind of trying to buy time. You know, we were like, well, we'll just do something and people will be happy, and then it'll give us an excuse to email them again, and eventually we can sell them something once we figure this out. So, right, what are like the major steps that a guy's got to do to leave mom's basement and go out and actually talk to a nice girl and have a date with her? And he's like, well, dude, first thing you got to do is like not wear the Darth Vader costume that you sleep in every night, and maybe put on, some nicer clothes. And then you got to learn how to go up and say hello. And then once you say hello, you have to like talk to them and not say anything weird. And then you got to ask them for their number, and then you go out on the date and you don't do anything stupid. I'm like, okay. So we did a teleseminar. By we, I mean Trey and I wrote the email copy for it. Neil did the teleseminar. The teleseminar was all about how to go up and say hello to an attractive woman. Because for most guys, that's like, I think most men would actually feel more comfortable entering combat in Afghanistan than doing that. It's like, okay, you got two choices. Choice number 2, you can go talk to that girl. She's with her friends. She's beautiful. Choice number 1 is you can go to Afghanistan. Most guys are going to be like, how bad could Afghanistan be, right? So we like send out the email. We get everybody to come to this teleseminar. Neil does an amazing job. We did nothing. He does an amazing job telling guys like how to basically not act stupid and go up and be nice and say hello and engage in conversation. And the damnedest thing happened. And this, I'll never forget this. This literally changed my life. So teleseminar is over. We get flooded with people coming back who were on that teleseminar saying, man, that was the greatest thing ever, and I'm going to go do it. And we're like, okay. And then the next day, we get even more flooding with people who were on that teleseminar, and I'll never forget the magic words. The magic words were, thank you, now what? What had happened was the guys on the teleseminar did what Neil said, and they went out and they go to wherever they're going, and they see said girl, and they say, hello, my name's Bob, and they don't say anything stupid. And she's like, oh, hey, Bob, how's it going? And now Bob's like, pretty good. You like Han Solo? And he doesn't know what to say now, right? So they're like, dude, thank you so much. Now what do we do? Because we went out and we talked to them, and they didn't like mace us, and then what do I do, right? And I was like, oh my God, dude. If we just help them get each little thing done in advance, by the time we've got them where they can actually get the phone number, we're not even going to have to try to sell them the main course, because they're going to be like, dude, just tell me what to do. I got her number. I got the date on Friday. I don't want to screw this up, right? So that's where this whole concept of results in advance came from. And after that happened, and by the way, we sold, I think it was $1.4 million worth of dating advice products in 4 hours. We completely sold it out. It was incredible using this, right? And so ever since that happened, I've been kind of a student of it. I'm like, wait a minute, this was like freakishly good, because our marketing wasn't that good. But they were helped so much that we didn't have to be good. We were just like, okay, fellas, here it is. And because they'd already gone out and they were like already at the getting numbers stage, and they're like, please don't, we've never been on a date when the girl is pretty. Just tell us what to do so we don't screw it up. We don't care. Our sales letter didn't have to be that great. We didn't have to really know what we were doing. It was awesome. Okay, so here's like the now structure based on that, okay? So once you have that big picture global level, that's everything they got to do, you take each step that they have to do is called a milestone, and then you outline the same thing, which is what do you have to do to get through that milestone, okay? So both levels use the same framework, which uses something called the timeline method, all right? So here we go. I'm going to show you the timeline method. So what you do is you get out a piece of paper, and you draw 2 points on the piece of paper. On the left is the thing they're trying to escape from. On the right is where they're trying to arrive to, and you draw a line. and that line connects those 2 points, okay? And then this is the global level, and then what you do is you make a little list from left to right in proper order of everything they have to do to actually escape from bad and arrive at good, right? So let's do the process. You can come back to me, Sass, if you want to. Let's do the process, and let's say that we're writing a book, right, for a business owner who wants to sell things online, okay? So we want to do the best job we can for this person. So the first thing, before we ever write a page, we're not going to write a page anyway, we're going to use the method I'm going to teach you right now. The first thing before we ever do anything is we're going to do this, and we're going to say, okay, let's think about this fella, right? He's got himself a business. He wants to have it on the interwebs so he can sell stuff on the interwebs, okay? That'll be cool. So we do our little thing. We say escape from, arrive to. We draw our little line, and we start brainstorming. We think, well, what's he got to do? All right, and we're like, well, the first thing we got to do is he's got to have a website. Duh, okay, so we got to get him set up. Well, no, once he's got that, what does he got to do? Well, he's going to need to figure out how to accept payments if he wants to sell something on the internet. So nothing's going to happen unless he's got those 2 things. So now that he's got that, what's he going to need? Well, he's going to need like the fundamental web pages. Yeah, he's going to have like about me. He's going to have a home page and stuff like that at the very least, right? You got to have those. And then once he's got those, well, then he's got to have like marketing pages that actually sell stuff. You know, you and I both know you can't just have a website that says, we sell tires, give us money. Like you actually have to have a page for the tires or whatever and talk about how good they are and have a little button and everything. And then he's got to know what to say on those pages, right? That's called marketing messaging, right? So he's got to have that. And, well, he's going to need to automate stuff. And, man, it doesn't have to be fancy automation at this stage. It's got to be like, you know, if someone clicks on the button to order the tires, it's got to actually work, you know? And once he's got that, he's going to have to get some traffic, right? Because what's the point of having a website with no traffic? And then if he's getting traffic, he's going to need to know what's working. So he's got to understand analytics. And then once he gets all that, he's probably ready for some advanced marketing. Man, if he goes through all of these things, my man's going to be selling stuff on the internet like crazy, right? So that's what I want you to do. Step number 1 is write down everything he's got to do. And here's what our brain's going to try to do. Because your brain, if it's anything like mine, it's kind of an asshole, right? Your brain, if your brain is like mine, is going to be like, well, dude, I don't know how to do all that stuff. It's not going to work. Might as well go back to whatever makes me comfortable, right? Well, don't listen to it. Because here's the good news. You don't have to teach all of this stuff. You just want to know what it is so you can recognize the parts of this framework that are your areas of expertise. Okay? I'll show you in a minute. All right? I'll kind of tie it together. So have a look here. This thing, the setup website thingy, this is a milestone, right? That's what we call a milestone. He has to reach this milestone in order to get closer. Once he reaches this milestone, now he's got to go to this milestone. So every single one of these things, these are called milestones. Right? So once we identify all the milestones, then what we choose is we choose the milestones that we know stuff about, right? And then we do the same process for those milestones. Let me give you an example, okay? So in the milestone level, we simply do the same thing. We draw this escape and arrive to, and we draw our little points, all right? And that's it. So let's use the example that we're going to walk him through that first milestone, which is how to set up a website. Let's say you know how to do that. That's going to be in your book. You know, first thing you got to do is set up a website. Well, what we do is real simple. We go, okay, on the left, he's got no website. On the right, he's got himself a website. He's just as pleased as he can be, right? What does he have to do to get from left to right? And then we draw it out. So we say, well, number 1, he's got to find a domain. Right? Now, that might seem simple to you, but if it's not his first language, he has no idea, right? And as a matter of fact, I want to bring that up right now. This is a big one. A lot of times, I get this with my inner circle members all the time, by the way. My inner circle members are like, dude, I just don't really know what more I could teach these guys. And here's the thing. Your area of expertise is like your first language. You're so immersed in it that you have no idea how valuable it truly is to someone where it's not their first language, right? You might be like, yeah, dude, you find a domain and you register it, and you get some hosting, and like, what? I don't know, what's the big deal? Everybody knows that. Everybody does not know that. I'll tell you a story. Years ago, this is how I actually learned this. It was eye-opening for me. Years ago, my main man John Reese and I were interviewed by Tony Robbins for a product line that I helped him create and launch. It's called the New Money Masters. So a while back, I had the great luck and just a really good time of helping Tony create some offers and some products and stuff. It's cool. Really cool guy, by the way. Awesome dude. So we're there, we're doing the interviews, it's time for lunch, right? And we did, Tony had interviewed John, and John Reese is like unbelievably intelligent. And Tony's like, damn, this guy's smart. And then he interviews me, and he's like, he's got a good personality, And then we go to lunch, and we're sitting there at lunch, and Tony's like, well, how does it work? What you guys are doing? And we're like, well, a lot of stuff we do by email marketing. He's like, so what, you just like sit down and you write everybody? And we're like, no, dude. People go to your website and they opt in, and you can program this entire series of emails that'll tell them to do stuff, and you can even change what they're getting based on what they click. Now to us, right, to you even, you're probably like, yeah, dude, it's an autoresponder. It was not Tony's first language, right? He had no idea what we were talking about, not because there's something wrong with him, right? Because it's his ninth language. His first language is transforming people's lives through the sheer power of his unbelievable presence and his skill set in that life, right? That's his first language. Selling stuff on the internet was like his 9 billionth language. He had no clue what we're talking about. We spent the entire lunch, it was hours, talking about, yeah, man, so an opt-in kind of works like this, and then you can program an email to go like this, and here's kind of how an email should actually look, and yeah, and then if they click on it, you can actually do this and this, and he's just like, you have got to be kidding me, dude, that's amazing, right? And I'm like, holy crap, this stuff, that not everybody knows this stuff. This is amazing. You've got the same thing, right? So one of the cardinal mistakes that we make when we're creating information products, or we're thinking about doing a book, or we're thinking about getting our message out there, is we don't understand how valuable the stuff we know is, because we're so immersed in it, we think everybody knows it. They don't know it. Tony's one of the smartest people you'll ever meet in your entire life. He didn't know it, not because he's ignorant. He just said no one had ever sat down and explained email marketing to him. He's got other stuff to do. He's like flying around the globe. I think he's in New York City right now with 15,000 people. Good for him. He's awesome, right? Same thing with you, okay? So it might seem to you as you're going through this, we can go back to the screen now, Sass, that this is super mundane, right? You mean to tell me you're going to do all of this for set up a website? Yeah, dude, because it's not their first language. So the first thing you got to do, find a domain. Person who's never set up a website before has no idea what that even entails. Then you got to buy it, right? Now they're going to have questions. It's not their first language. Where do you buy it? What's the difference, right? Then you're going to have to be like, choose hosting. Like, wait a minute, what? Hosting? What's that? What kind of host should I use? Do I use WordPress hosting? Do I use cloud hosting? Do I get a dedicated server? All this kind of stuff they have no idea about, right? You and I are like, oh yeah, it's good, GoDaddy, whatever. Not them. It's not their first language, right? They've never done it before in their lives. They have all kinds of questions, which they should, and you should be glad that they do. Even if you look at find a domain and buy a domain, what happens if their domain is taken? How do they come up with domain ideas, right? They have no clue, okay? So the next phase of that is going to be, well, now that you got your website, jimstires.com or whatever, you got to set up email so you can be jim@jimstires.com. Guess what? They've never set up a website. That's magic to them. They have no freaking clue how to do it at all. To you, probably easiest thing in the world. To them, no clue, right? So never take your knowledge for granted. Next thing, you got to teach them how to use like cPanel or whatever, if you're doing that, or WordPress, and then you got to, maybe you want to help them build a homepage. So they actually have a website, because at the very minimum, a website's going to have a homepage that says Jim's Tires, right? And that's the whole thing, the escape and arrival framework for setting up a website, right? Well, let's say we want to do again for accept payments, right? So that was the second milestone. So we go, okay, let's draw a little circle. It says can accept payments, right? Draw the line, and we start going, okay, what's the first thing you got to do to accept payments? Well, you got to know your choices. Should I do Stripe? Should I do PayPal? Should I get a real merchant account? Right? You don't know. It depends. They have no idea any of that stuff even works. You take an average guy off the street and say, yeah, do you know how to accept credit cards on the internet? They're going to say, no. What are you talking about? Right? Guess what? It's not their first language. It's yours. Okay? Then you got to get a merchant account. How do you apply to a merchant account? Who should you use? Who's going to screw you? Who's good? How do you know you're going to get the money? Then, once you have a merchant account, well, dude, you got to actually get the credit card from them and have them put it onto something on your website called an order form, and that's going to take a shopping cart, and then you got to make the shopping cart talk to the merchant account so you can actually accept payment, and then you got to put all that stuff on your website and make an order button work and everything. Now, to you, it's as easy as going and getting a ClickFunnels account, or Samcart or Kajabi or whatever. To them, they've never heard of any of that stuff, right? So they're like, mind blown, oh my gosh, this is amazing, I'm learning something, okay? So I think you get it. So let's say now that we want to teach them the next step, which is to build the fundamental pages, right? Fundamental pages. So what are they? Well, first thing you got to do if you're going to build a web page, you got to have a web page builder. What should you use? Should you use ClickFunnels? Should you use Optimized Press? Should you use Lead Pages? Should you use the thing that you get with GoDaddy or whatever? Like, they're not going to know what any of those things are. And then if you have, you got to have like a product page if you want to sell something. What does that look like? How the hell do you build one of those? What do you put a picture of your product? And now if you didn't teach them how to do this, their product page would be a giant 7 billion megabyte picture that was taken in high resolution on a web page with a little thing that says buy this, and it would take 10 years to load. You know this, right? You know it from the early days of trying to build stuff online. If you don't teach them how to do it right, that's what their product page is going to be like. So you got to teach them how to build a product page. You got to teach them how to build an order page, right? Whether that's just like, okay, here's how to build an order page in ClickFunnels and link it, or here's how to build one in whatever, Samcart or Infusionsoft or Kajabi, it doesn't matter. They don't know how to do it, okay? Then a thank you page. What do you mean? What's the thank you page? You know what that is, a page they see after they buy stuff. They don't know, right? Your customer has no freaking clue. You're blowing their minds right now. And then you got to teach them how to tie all that stuff together, right? So you get it, right? Now, look, let me show you something. Let's go here. Now, notice that when we looked at the global escape and arrival framework, hang on, look at that. These sound effects make it work better. When we looked at all of this stuff, come back to me, right? We were like, okay, here's the global escape and arrival of a guy. If we're writing a book for someone who wants to sell something online, here's all the stuff we got to do, or that he's got to do. Guess what? Your book, you don't have to have a milestone level escape and arrival thing for every single one of these pages. They might not be your area of expertise. Like for me, if I was writing this book, I would do terrible here, I would do terrible here, I would do terrible here, right? I would do okay here, I'd do awesome here, I would do awesome here, I would do awesome here, not so good at analytics, I would do awesome at advanced marketing. You're probably going to be the same way. You don't have to write the freaking book about every single aspect of this. You choose the ones that are most important, that you know and that you can really help them with, and now that's the topic of your book. Okay, so let's move forward. Now, where was I in the dang slideshow thingy here? Let's see. Did the setup milestone, boom, ba-doom, ba-doom, ba-doom. Okay, there we go. Soundtrack, I mean, the sound effects really make it better. Don't you think? That's really something. Okay, so here's the thing. Hang on, I'm losing my voice. I don't usually talk this much. I usually stay in my office in my house in complete silence, listening to Focus at Will, writing stuff for y'all. So I'm not normally this much of a talker. Hang on. My wife and daughter, by the way, have these gnarly coughs. I'm just like, please don't get it. And then I'm like, okay, I'm making deals. I'm like, all right, God, if I'm going to have to get it, can I get it like Monday? So I can do this and teach everybody. But so far, so good. I don't think I'm going to get it. He tends to do me right. So for me, like I said, see the things that are circled in red there? These are the things that I'm pretty good at, right? This is the world I live in. So I'm making content, I'm making it about this stuff. Marketing pages, marketing messaging, and automation, right? Sometimes traffic, very rarely analytics, and a lot of times advanced marketing, okay? But this is my little world. So how do you actually now use that framework to create a webinar that can be transcribed and now turned into a book? Now remember, at this phase, you don't have to make a webinar that actually sells, the main thing, right? You don't have to like make a sales webinar. But since we're going to build a webinar anyway, I might as well teach you how to make a webinar that sells something, because hey, you might be like, shoot man, screw it. I want to build a webinar that's an awesome pitch, and then I'll make my main thing or my Slack adjuster or whatever based on the pitch, right? So that's what we're going to do. So the one-page webinar framework is the one that I'm going to teach you now, and this thing is pretty sweet. We're doing great on time. This is miraculous that we're actually sticking with the agenda time. Might finish this one early. Don't really know. Not too worried about it. I think we're all pretty laid back bunch here. So let's get cracking. Now, that is beautiful, right? So what this is this is a screenshot of a piece of paper on a notepad. What you want to do is, I don't know if you can quite see it, put it on the screen. There you go. You just want to take a sheet of paper and divide it into 6 square segments like I've got right there. That's it, right? So if you want to be fancy and do it on your computer or something, knock yourself out. I like to use paper because the computer things are a little bit harder for me to use. Okay, so each one of these segments now is a component of your webinar. All right, so here we go. So now look, that's fancy, isn't it? Okay, so we basically have 6 steps to a webinar that works, right? And by the way, these webinars that I teach and the webinars that I do and perform are high content. So I'll tell you in advance right now that other webinar styles will outsell mine, this method, but oftentimes your audience will be left going, yeah, that was a little sleazy. I will sacrifice a little bit lower conversion for a better relationship with the audience because I know if I keep helping them, they'll buy something eventually. Okay, so we're going to focus a lot on being super cool in this one. So the first section here is called the confirmation. All right, in the confirmation, your job is to confirm that they've made the right decision to attend. Right, so whether you're reading a book or attending a webinar or a presentation, you're going to need to sell them on staying, right? Like, have you ever noticed a lot of books say, hey, welcome to this book, here's all the cool stuff you're going to learn in this book? They're selling you on continuing reading the book. When we do a webinar, we need to do the same thing, right? It's very, very simple, though. You also, during this phase of the webinar, you want to introduce yourself to reestablish familiarity, right? Or in this case, actually establish familiarity. You want them to know who's talking to them, right? Kind of basic. Now this part's really, really easy. If I've done everything correctly, and this will be a miracle, you'll actually see the slides here in a minute. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to sell them on staying by telling them what they're getting. So I'll show you some slides from some of my webinars to kind of walk you through how this works, okay? So in my webinar that sells webinars, by the way, this is in the confirmation part. This is me doing the introduction. Right, so there's a little picture of me, and it says, hey, I'll say my name's Frank Kern, I'm 44 years old, I'm married, I live in San Diego with my wife and 4 kids, 1 dog and 2 bunnies. Thankfully, we gave the bunnies away. So now I got to amend that with just 1 dog. His name's Charlie Murphy. I'm a marketing advisor to celebrities like Tony Robbins, software companies like Infusionsoft, investment firms like Memphis Invest, and over 150,000 small businesses worldwide. And I currently spend between $35,000 and $90,000 per month on advertising campaigns that incorporate webinars with a measurably profitable return on ad spend. And I built webinars that sell information, products, professional services, and recruiting for financial services firms, and even use webinars to sell actual houses. So that's 1 slide, bing, and that's just me introducing myself, right? Now the way this is really different is a lot of times the webinar ends up being about the person who's given the webinar. And there's a place for that, but that's not what the webinar should really be about. I'm sure you're not watching this right now because you're intensely fascinated with my life story. You're not like, well, tell us about your childhood. That's fascinating. No, you're like, dude, I want you to help me do something, right? Your audience is the same way. So you always want to make everything about them. So notice that was 1 slide. Bing, that was it. Nothing. A slide, 4 bullet points. Okay, no big deal. All right, so here's another example. This is the one where I'm telling them, here's what you're going to learn. I'm reselling them on staying. Here's what you'll learn during this presentation. I'm going to show you the 1-page webinar framework for selling, producing, and launching webinars that sell. I'm going to show you the 12-part polite pitch formula that lets you make an offer without being obnoxious or feeling like a sleazy salesperson. I'll show you how to have a webinar presentation that's genuinely helpful to your audience, but still sells like crazy at the same time. 3 bullet points, 1 slide. Super simple, right? Super duper simple. Really no problemo, okay? So now our next phase here is something called the difference. And here's why you gotta have this. Now, by show of hands in the comment section, right? So how many of you guys have been on a webinar before? Obviously everybody, right? Have all of them been awesome? Or have you ever been on a webinar where you're like, this was the biggest waste of time? All I heard was this guy's rags to riches story and then he pitched me. And I didn't get anything useful at all, okay? That's the greatest thing that could happen to your prospects, and that could be the greatest thing that could have been done to them by your competitors. Because what it does is it allows you to instantly stand above, right? And rise above and be positioned as better by simply not doing that. But because it is almost a quantifiable fact, I mean, surely there's someone who's never been on a webinar before, but it's almost a universally applicable fact that everyone has been on a webinar before and they've been on a shitty webinar before and they were disappointed. We have to immediately let them know that this is going to be different, right? Right off the bat. Otherwise, they're like, well, it's the same thing. So we got to grab them, right? So here's what we do. First thing we do is we acknowledge skepticism and objections. Hang on, I need a little water. Now, why do we want to do that? Because every single person is going to be skeptical and they're going to have objections. Like, it's normal, right? What do you think? People are going to show up on the webinar going, everything this person says is going to be true. It's going to be amazing. I have absolutely no objections. No, dude, they're not. Everybody has skepticism. We might as well address it right up front, right? We also want to magnetize the audience by polarizing them. Your webinar is going to be made up of two groups of people. People you want as customers and people you don't. You will be magnetic to the people that you want by being repulsive to the people that you don't want. So we want to do that as well to further bond with the good ones. And these two actions here, what they're going to do is they're going to help silence the audience's inner dialogue. This otherwise going to be asking like, yeah, but what about this, right? So notice how earlier I was like, hey, look, you notice that we just put all of these things on this escape and arrival framework. You might be thinking, yeah, but I don't know how to do all of those things. I acknowledge that skepticism to turn that voice off in your mind, right? When I'm framing the book funnel blueprint for you, even today, I was like, hey, listen, you're never going to write a page. Writing a book sucks, right? When I was framing that you're going to do this webinar, I was like, hey, don't worry about it. I know you might be worried that, hey, I got to make this perfect webinar. Nope, you're just going to make anything that you can to get it out of your head and record it so a transcriptionist can give it to an editor, so now you have something to work with, right? So you always have to be aware of what their concerns are going to be, so you can address them head on. I don't mean overcome them and BS anybody, just like say, all right, here's what you're probably worried about. And hey, if there's a good reason to be worried about it, tell them. You'll like immediately differentiate yourself. And they're going to trust you more because you're, God forbid, 100% honest with them, right? Novel concept. Okay, so let me give you some examples, right? In my webinar that sells webinars, I know that one of the biggest objections people have when I'm like, hey, you know, I've sold webinars and here are the results I've had and it's been really awesome, et cetera. One of the things going through their mind, if they know me, they're like, well, of course it's worked for you, dude. You're Frank Kern, you have magic powers, you have a big list. Everybody already knows you. It can't work for me because nobody knows you, right? So what am I going to do? Ignore that? No. They're going to be thinking about it the whole time. Everything I say is going to be tainted with that belief of theirs. But if I come right out up front and I say, you know what? I got a confession to make. Of course I've got an unfair advantage. You know, I've been doing this since 1999. A lot of people already know me in the industry. I got a huge list of people. Some of them even like me, right? So I come right out and acknowledge that skepticism, right? Here's another one. This is where I'm just basically polarizing, right? I say, look, here are the house rules. First of all, look, if you're a get-rich-quick person, if you're looking for that kind of thing, this isn't for you. If you want some magic system where you can do nothing and get paid, I don't know what that is. I don't have one of those. I can't help you. If you want to just pretend to be an expert at something but not actually help people, I can't help you. And by the way, I'm going to show you some really amazing results I have, but I'm not going to be like all these other guys and going, you can do this too in 5 minutes in your underwear. I don't know what you're going to do. I'm going to show you some numbers, and I'm just showing you because I'm really proud of them, and I just want to show you conceptually how well this has worked for me. But I'm certainly not making any promises to you. Now, here's what that does. You can come back to me, Sass, if you want. Here's what that does, right? To the person who is lazy and wants to get rich quick and is looking for yet another magic pill, right, that doesn't exist, they're going to be like, I don't like this. But guess what? I can't help that guy anyway. So I don't care about that person. But for the real person who I actually want as a customer, you know how everybody's jaded? Everyone's been abused, basically? I'm like the only person going, hey, man, look, I'm not going to tell you this doesn't take work, right? I'm not going to tell you you're going to get rich quick overnight. Yeah, I'm going to show you what I've done, but I don't know you. I'm not going to insult your freaking intelligence. Guess who does that? Nobody. So when you polarize like that, the people who want to get rich quick, who don't want to do any work, who want to sort of fake it, they're going to be turned off. Well, they're not my customers anyway. But the ones who are real, now they're more magnetized to me. Does that make sense? So we've accomplished all of that, by the way, with 2 slides. Okay, so it's not like we're having to invent this whole thing. We just need to do these steps in advance to set the framework of everything else so that when we deliver our message, it's going to be more likely to be received well. Does that make sense? Otherwise, they're going to have the shields up, and you're not going to be able to help them as much because their mind's going to be thinking, well, what about this? What about this objection? And they're going to focus more on the objections than the actual things that you can do to help them. Okay, so next phase of this, all right, is where we really start to bond with them. Now, a lot of webinars make everything about the bond, right? So let me define the bond. You got 2 things that it could be. Thing number 1, a bond can be a story. Right, and during our training today, I'm going to give you a lot of training, not today actually, but during this course, I'm going to give you a lot of things about story and sales. I'm going to show you a framework for how to use story and sales and videos. It's amazing, okay? And I might show a little bit during this presentation here. This is kind of a bigger picture, right? But our first thing is a story. And some people are really, really comfortable with stories. They got an amazing story, right? They're like, oh my gosh, dude, I can't wait to tell this story. You know, I was struggling, everything was horrible. I found this one thing, I tried it, it didn't work right. I kept trying it and I made some mistakes and I figured something out. Next thing you know, blam, I want to share that story with everybody. Some people are like, no, dude, I mean, this is just kind of how you do it. I don't have that. So the other thing, if you don't have story, is evidence, okay? So you have two ways to bond with them, story or evidence, okay? So the framework for a story is this. Number one, I had a dream. You can show me, Sass, if you want to. Number one, I had a dream, right? You know, I don't know, if you're anything like me, you've always wanted to be successful. That's the opening of a story. I had a dream. When I was a kid, I used to look at the people in the nice cars and the nice clothes. They could do anything they wanted. And they were always going on vacation. I'd open up magazines and these people, they're having the greatest time in the world. And man, I said to myself, one day that's going to be me. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to do that because I know I can, right? That's that first portion. I had a dream. That's the first portion of that story. The next phase of this, I know I'm going kind of quickly with the story part, but we'll dive into it a little deeper when I give you the templates and frameworks here. The next phase of this is I had a struggle, right? So a story is rarely, man, I wanted to be successful like these people, and so what? You know what? I did. Yay! Right? It never happens, right? The success is almost always preceded by horrible, abysmal failure, right? So your struggle is going to be the story of struggle, how you went through trials and tribulations on your path to trying to achieve the results, right? So you say, and you know what? I don't know if you're anything like me, but I used to read those business opportunity magazines and all that stuff they had in the supermarket, and I'd see those ads, and it would show those big long ads, and it would show the person said, I made, $3,000 a day doing this with this weird system, and I would buy that thing. And then friends of mine turned me on to multi-level marketing, and I would join these companies. And then I learned about this other thing, and I would try to do this. And some of it works and some of it didn't, but it just never seemed to really click for me. And sooner rather than later, I realized I'd spent all my money buying these things, and I tried them, and I just couldn't get them to work. And next thing you know, I found myself in debt, and then I lost my job. And then not only do I not have any income, but now I don't have a job, and man, my whole family's looking at me, and they're thinking, you idiot. You've got people to support, you've got kids, you've got people who depend on you, and you've been out messing around buying all this get-rich-quick stuff. I told you it wouldn't work. You didn't listen, and now look at you. Right, that's block right there. Hey, some of that might sound familiar. I've been through that personally. That's why I was able to tell that story so well, right? A lot of us have, right? But that little block there would be the story, the struggle block of the story. And so every time, right, now you emerge from that with the I had a discovery. And usually there's going to be a moment of decision in there. So typically the story is going to sound something like this. And by the way, this needs to be true. Don't just make stuff up. I'm just giving you a framework. So don't go make a webinar and quote me exactly on this. I'm literally just giving you sort of an example framework here. All right? I'll give you a more detailed framework when we get to that point of it. Now I don't want to leave you hanging. I want to tell you how to do it. Okay? So the next phase of this, right before I have a discovery, is typically going to be I made a decision. Right? So it could be, and I'm there, and I'm standing, and I'm alone. My wife and children had gone to bed, and I put on the best happy face I could for them during dinner, but once they were all asleep, I just sat down at the table and put my head in my hands. I didn't know what to do because my elbows were resting on a pile of bills, and that pile of bills said past due. And the one of them said, we're going to cut your power off. And I was there. And it dawned on me that because of what I'd been doing and my lack of commitment and my lack of focus, that my kids were going to try to watch cartoons in the morning in 2 days and the TV wasn't going to work. That the house is going to end up being 100 degrees in there because there's going to be no air conditioning, right? And then I realized that they're not going to be able to go to school because I can't put gas in the car. And that's when I made a decision. And I made the decision that, you know what? I'm not going to live like this anymore, right? So you need to have that moment of decision, and that's typically what leads to a discovery. Again, this really needs to be true. So if you don't have this, guess what? There's evidence. I'll teach you the evidence method in a minute, okay? But this is usually the framework for the story. So now the part is I made a discovery. And that's when I decided, so I'm going back now into just sort of loosely off the top of my head scripting this, and it was in that moment of decision that I decided, you know what? I'm not going to pay attention to any of this get-rich-quick stuff anymore, ever again. I know that people have been incredibly successful building real businesses, and they did it through hard work, and they didn't try to cheat the system, and they've written books on it. And I went out and I found those books, and I found books by men like David Ogilvy, and I found books and materials by men like Gary Halbert, And I read things by Claude Hopkins, who was the father of modern advertising. As I was reading this, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the most brilliant thing I've ever heard. And while everyone else is out there trying to sell this invisible air stuff, what would happen if I just took their principles and applied them to modern day marketing and tried to market my business that way? And that's when I made the discovery that if you take old methods and apply them to today, it actually works better today than it did when they were first invented. Now, actually, all of this is true in terms of my making that personal discovery. But again, I'm giving this as an example. So now you made a discovery, right? And then your part is here's life now. So now you say, and fast forward to today, I've got more customers than I can handle. We go on vacation wherever we want to. I haven't looked at a menu price in 10 years. I have no idea how much our car payments are because for all I know, we wrote checks for them. I don't even have to handle that kind of stuff. Like, whatever it is, here's life now. What doing this does is it opens the audience mind up to be receptive to the next part of this, which is you're actually delivering them the content. So when you say I made a discovery and I discovered this stuff, your content is you teaching them some of the stuff you discovered. Okay, now, what if you don't have a story, right? What if you're just boring? You're not going to be boring. You know I'm kidding, right? But hey, what if you don't have a discoveries thing? What if there's no story or you're uncomfortable doing that or whatever? Well, the alternate side to that equation is to use evidence-based thing. So I did that when I sell consulting. Right? So I have a consulting class. Obviously, I do. It goes along with this book right here, right? So here's the book, right? So if they buy this book, they'll ultimately see a webinar that sells my client acquisition system. Okay? Well, in this webinar, there is no story because I don't really have a dramatic story for how I got into consulting. I mean, what am I going to say? Yeah, you know, back in 1999, I started selling things on the internet. It was pretty hard at first, but then I got really good at it and I made a crap ton of money. And then I was like, man, I've really always admired marketing consultants. I kind of want to see what it's like to be one. And I wrote a letter and it worked. And then I kept doing it. Next thing you know, I got all these clients and life is amazing. Like, that's not a very compelling story, right? I don't have any drama. So I was like, well, I don't want to make anything up. Instead, I'm going to use evidence. So in this case, what you can do is you can gather a lot of evidence that demonstrate and prove that what you're saying is possible, actually is possible. So the point that I try to make in my webinar that sells my client acquisition system is that, hey, consulting is no joke. Consulting is a huge industry, and it's projected to grow. When everything else is kind of going to hell in a handbasket, we're one of the only industries that are going. And so this stat I have here on the screen is actually from the U.S. Department of Labor Statistics, I think. And this is incredible, right? It's supposedly growing by 80% by next year. That's crazy, right? 83%, that's awesome, you know? So you can also give evidence and say, you know, here's all the facts of the research I've done. I'm going to give you an example of that, by the way, tomorrow when I present. I'm going to give you a real webinar tomorrow. So I'm sort of almost telling you how I'm about to do something in one of the trainings I can give you tomorrow, right? So now the next phase is going to be the payoff. Right? And this is really why they're here, okay? So the payoff is critical, all right? Let's see here. I want to make sure I got my slides in order. Do you have your slides in order there, Karen? Let's see, something. Do I have them in order, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah, okay. This is the part they can edit out of the finished product, you know what I'm saying? All right, so, let's get over there. Guys, it took forever to make it where the stuff would appear like that on the screen. Okay, so now we have the payoff. So here's the thing about the payoff, right? Remember when I showed you the escape and arrival framework? And remember I was like, look, you don't have to make your book about the 7 million things I have to do to get from frowny face to happy face. You just have to make your book about like 2 or 3 of the things you're really, really good at. That's what I mean. So when you outline that, that's where this goes, right? And you want it to be immediately actionable information, okay? And you want it to be immediately actionable information for 2 reasons. You can come to me, Sass, if you want to, all right? Number 1, when you build this webinar, it's going to go into a book. Now, guess what? If you sell somebody a book, even if it's only $5, and they read it and they're like, theoretically, this sounds pretty good, but I don't really know what, then they're never going to want to buy anything from you again. Remember the focus of the book? What it needs to create? It needs to create a buyer with what? 2 things, remember? What were they? Confidence and capabilities. We're not going to be able to give them that unless we make it immediately actionable information, right? They got to be able to take it, whether it's from the webinar or the transcription that's turned into a book. They got to be able to leave that experience going, man, I can do that. That's great. You want to give them confidence and capability because that'll fuel the buying, right? They'll be more receptive to buying, and plus it's a cool thing to do. Well, you don't want to waste anyone's time. You want to help everybody. Hey, here's a novel concept. More people you help, the more money you're going to make, right? Kind of a golden rule there. Kind of an unescapable reality over time. So we might as well embrace that and help as many people as we can. Okay, so here's the payoff. 3 ways we can influence people, right? Only 3 ways possible, okay? Here's why you want to do a good job here. So number 1 is we can talk about how good we are, right? Now, if you go back and you look at most marketing that you personally are exposed to every day, like go through your inbox, right? It's going to be one of these 2. It's going to be, hey, I'm really awesome, right? Look at me. Look how big my house is. Look how many cars I got. Give me some money. Okay, that's one. You've seen it, right? And so you make fun of it and stuff. I mean, it's kind of funny. The other one is going to be to have others talk about how good you are. Go to your inbox right now. Read the latest affiliate promotion you got. It's going to be one of these 2, isn't it? Actually, don't do it right now. We're trying to get some work done. But when we're done, just go look. Go to people whose list you're on and be like, I'll be damned. It's either going to be the guy talking about how amazing he is, or they're trying to pitch someone else's stuff, and they're like, this dude's amazing, right? Guess what? Both of those work. I bet you thought I was going to be like, those are stupid and they never work. No, they work pretty freaking good, right? You know what works better? I'll tell you what works better. The most effective thing ever is to demonstrate how good we are. Look at that, in all caps even. Demonstrate how good you are. I'll tell you something. I mean, let's think about this. If I were to come up to you and say, don't tell anybody this, all right? Be cool about this. But dude, I can fly, right? If I said that to you in that tonality, right? We're in a bar or so, like imagine we're at a seminar and you're like, dude, Kern, what's up? I'm like, hey man, I got to talk to you. Listen. I can fly. I'm not kidding you, dude. I can totally fly. I mean like Superman. I can freaking fly. Fast, straight, loops and stuff, I can do it. You're going to be like, okay, right? Now some people might believe you. Like you might be like me. I believe anything. You could tell me anything. I'll be like, that's the damnedest thing I've ever heard. Can you know this dude can fly, right? I'm just like that, right? So that's one way I could try to influence you into believing I can fly. Another thing is I could get all my buddies and I could be standing there like this going, yeah. And then, I could get Eben to come up, and Eben could be, I'm going to try to talk like Eben. He enunciates everything. Frank Kern can fly, and the name of my course is Enunciate. You've ever noticed that about Eben? Everything is enunciated perfectly. And then Walker could be like, yeah, dude, Frank can fly. And then John Reese would come up, you seen that dude fly? It's crazy. And then you might be more inclined to be like, shit, man. He seems a little heavy to be able to fly, but maybe it's possible, right? So maybe that's going to work, but what's definitely going to work? What would definitely work to get you to believe that I could fly? If I walk up to you, I'm like, dude, check this out. Come here, let's walk outside. You got to see this. I do it inside, but the ceiling's too big. Ready? Watch this. And I flew. And I'm like flying around. You'd be like, did that just happen? I'd be like, yeah, man, I can fly. Damnedest thing you ever saw. Can you believe that? Right? And you would think that I could fly because I did what? Demonstrate it. Demonstration trumps all. Guess what demonstration requires very little of? Salesmanship. It requires very little arm twisting, right? It requires very little being obnoxious, which makes all of us uncomfortable. It's just like the oldest trick in the book. I always make this joke. I say, here's how we're going to get them. We're going to use the oldest trick in the book. Are you ready? We're going to demonstrate we can help them by actually helping them. That'll teach them, right? Because it works better than anything else, right? And the reason it's better, actions speak louder than words, right? One of the oldest sayings in the world, actions speak louder than words, right? So your real money, ultimately, by the way, the reason you really want to do a good job of this is A, because it's cool and it's going to help you sell more and it's going to have goodwill and you're doing the right thing, but B, let me ask you a question, okay? Let's say this is a webinar right now, and we're on the webinar, and I'm going to sell something. I don't have anything to sell right now, by the way. But let's say that I did, and I'm doing a good job, and we're in rapport, right? I think, like I looked at the comments a little bit, like during our break, and people were really nice. I'm like, oh, this is great. People like this, right? Do you think I could sell, and I can't remember how many people were on, like at the moment that I was looking. It was about, I don't know, a couple thousand or something awesome, right? And so do you think every single person, let's say it's 3,000 people watching, do you think all 3,000 of them would buy? Right? Doesn't matter how good of a job I do. All 3,000 of them just ain't going to buy, right? It's normal for people not to buy. So what do? We follow up. if we don't do a good job in the payoff section, right, our follow-up is pointless. I almost lost that. Did you see that? I was trying to be cool, and it's like, oh, okay. So we're not going to do a good job in the follow-up if we don't actually help them, right? But if they come and they attend a webinar or they read the book, which is the webinar transcribed, and it's actually good, what are they going to be? They're going to be the greatest thing you could have, which is a buyer with confidence and capability, okay? So here's how to do the payoff, all right? First thing you got to understand, this person has given you their single most valuable and irreplaceable asset. It's not their money, it is their time. Like, we're spending time together right now. That's why it's so important to me that you are happy, because you ain't gonna get this afternoon back, right? It's not coming back to you. The last 3 seconds we were talking, you're not getting those 3 seconds back, so I wanna make sure they were well spent. So because of that, they have to get a payoff for attending. Otherwise, they're never gonna trust you again, okay? So, to maintain trust and desire, you got to demonstrate you can help them by actually freaking helping them. Crazy concepts. So what I like to do is I just like to teach 3 big things that they need, and they got to be actionable, right? They have to be something they can immediately do, okay? So you can't teach anything really, really crazy. And the biggest thing I can tell you about this is you don't want to bog them down. So in the rare instance, this is embarrassing, but most of my members out-convert me on their webinars, which is like, I'm telling you, we do these live video conferences, like stuff like this, but I actually can bring you on camera for my Inner Circle members. We do them every other Wednesday with me, and I'm reviewing people's stuff. And it's all the time. They're on my web, or they're like bringing up their webinar stuff, and they're like, yeah, dude, I'm doing this webinar. I'm converting at 10%, but I don't know what, I mean, should I scrap it and do another one? I'm like, dude, I converted like 2. Why is everyone doing so much better than me, right? But in the rare time when they don't do better than me, and when they're really struggling, it's because they bog it down right here. So what does that mean? Okay, so what you want is a bog-free payoff. So let's say our webinar is about list building, and we're doing it. We're going to write a book about list building. We want to transcribe the webinar, have it turned into a book about list building. So one of the things we might want to teach them is you have to have a good opt-in page layout, right? That's really important. You're not going to build the dang list if your opt-in page is all screwed up, right? So the right way to do it would be to give them solid fundamentals. You know, you can come to me, Sass, if you want to give them like solid fundamentals. Be like, okay, so here, I know that's not actually on the screen, but here's an example of a really good opt-in page layout. You know, and we say, notice the headline formula says how to X without Y, right? And notice that the button is typically over here, and notice you got a big graphic over here. That's the right layout that you want to have, right? That's really simple. There's no bogging down there. They immediately understand that. They can immediately go and change their opt-in page to look like that and probably get better results. That's what you want. Demonstrate you can help them by actually helping them, right? You could show them examples. Like, here's one web page is working good. Here's another one. Here's another one. Notice they have all these things in common, right? That would work. Now, the wrong way, you can come back to me if you want to, the wrong way would be to be like, okay, so now that we know the proper layout of an opt-in page, what we want to do is we want to understand how HTML coding works, specifically HTML5, for the World Wide Web, in a multi-browser, cross-platform, I can't even say it, cross-platform scenario. So you have multiple types of HTML coding that you could possibly do, and we have these things called div tags and tables, and one of the coding examples that are often used by, and you're like, you know, the person's just like, they're bored out of their mind. You've bogged them down, right? Give them big picture, don't give them minutia. You won't make any money with minutia, right? We help people with the big picture stuff, okay? So that's the example right there. So your payoff has to be good, right? So all this stuff right here, transcribed and edited, turns into this, right? That's it. So if you do that, then guess what you are? You're gold, Jerry. You got yourself a book. Right? It's perfect. You have yourself an actual book. So if we look, hang on a minute, I'm losing my voice a little bit. I got to tell you, it's a little weird just sitting here drinking camera with all these people, or drinking water on camera, everyone watching. Hang on. Wish there was a cooler way to do that. You know, is there a cool way to drink water? Like, yeah. Anyway, so let's talk about the payoff. So this book right here, all right, this is my consulting book. It's got 3 big things. Shows you how to generate leads, shows you how to have them asking for conversations, shows you how to close those conversations. 3 big things. Not a million, right? not 700, 3 big things. It's 68 pages. That's it, 68 pages. This one, 3 big things. Magic formula is this: pre-framing, indoctrination, conversion. That's what this teaches you. Pre-framing, indoctrination, conversion. And this one is a little longer. This one is 7 million pages. Did I not put page numbers on there? Now this guy is 75 pages. We went crazy. 68 and 75. You don't have to write a novel, okay? People love these. You know why? Because you can read it in an afternoon. What do you want to, would you rather have the book that's going to take you a week, or the one that you can sit down, understand the concepts, and read in an afternoon? So if your mind is telling you, oh, dude, I got to make this big, hardback, beautiful book that I got to mail to people. It's got to be 300 pages. It's got to be, look like the stuff I get at Barnes & Noble. Nope. Ain't gotta. You can just do exactly what I showed you. Get that thing recorded. Send it to rev.com. They'll transcribe it. Don't look at the transcriptions at all, okay? Last thing you want to do is look at the transcriptions. And then send it to an editor that you meet on Fiverr, right? Just pick one. Right? What editor's best? I don't know. Look at the one with the highest ratings. It's not rocket science. They're just editing your stuff. Then take the edited version, mess with it if that needs messing with. Now you got a book. No need to print it. No need to ship it. You can sell it digitally. Okay? So since we're here, okay, since we're already here, and we've already kind of built a webinar, right? We might as well kind of finish it and talk about how you could actually sell something on the webinar. Doesn't that make sense? So let's do it since you're here. Okay? So all this stuff. Boom, boom, boom. These 5 steps or these 4 steps, that's the part that gets transcribed. Right? So you could stop there and you got yourself a book. But if you really want to do it properly, you might as well build these things. You might as well go ahead and build in a pitch. Right? No one's got to see the pitch, but if you build the pitch and the pitch is good, you can now dictate what your main thing can be, what's included in the main thing. And don't worry, we're going to spend a lot of time tomorrow. And on Sunday, I'll show you the 5 different product types. On Sunday, I'll show you the 4 big ticket models, how they work and everything. We're going to go over sales copy and stuff. But right now, let's just pretend that you've already agreed that you're going to make a big thing, right? And whatever it is. So if you're already going to make it, might as well try to build a pitch for it just to see what happens. You don't have to show the pitch to anybody, but what do you think that pitch is going to do? Building that pitch is going to do 2 things. If it's good, you're going to be like, damn, I really want to go ahead and get that made because that was awesome. I just nailed that. Let's get this sucker to the market. I can sell the crap out of it, right? And you're going to know what needs to be in the main thing because you just talked about the coolest stuff it's going to help people do. So it's almost like forced product creation in a way. All right, so first thing you want to do is we were in teaching phase. Here, come to me. We were in teaching phase all the way through here. Now we got to get here into selling phase, okay? So now the first thing we got to do is we got to transition from sales, from teaching rather, to sales without being weird, right? Without getting all nervous and being like, okay, so you don't want to buy this, do you? Okay, so it's really, really simple. The way to do this is very, very easy. So you want to, in the transition phase, which is step 5, you want to switch from teaching to selling, and you want to do it without being or feeling awkward, okay? So what I like to do here is exactly what to say. Let's say you just taught your 3 big things, right? And it was awesome, and you helped people. And you're like, man, that was killer. I really helped people with this. This is great. Now you can say, so if you found this helpful, you'll really like my new program called How to Do More of This Stuff, right? Really simple. That's one way to do it. And the most effective way I could teach you. Just transition right into it. You don't have to be weird about it and beat around, well, I don't like selling stuff. And if you really want to, and maybe you could just say, hey, I really hope you enjoyed that. These are 3 big things that really made a major difference in my life. And you know what? If you found that helpful, I really think you're going to like my brand new secret or my brand new program called Buy More Stuff Secrets, right? And that's it. And now what we do in the next is we go into the offer. And this is a big one, all right? So get on the screen there for a minute because I need to look at this stuff while I read it off to you so I can make sure I got it all in the right order. But the offer, a good pitch, follows a very solid structure. I'm going to do one for you tomorrow, and then I'm going to sort of dissect it for you as well. So the first thing we want to do is something called the triple fact confirmation. And this kind of comes, you can come back to me if you want to, this kind of comes from NLP, so they say. I don't actually know NLP. All right, so the triple fact confirmation sounds like this. First, we do the transition, right? So anyway, that's how I got the really big result, and it was really, really cool. And hey, if you found that to be helpful, I think you're really going to love my new products called Buy More Stuff Secrets. All right, so we transition. Now we're going to do step 1, the triple fact confirmation. It sounds like this. You go, and you know what? you registered for this webinar and you're here right now, and you know that if you really apply this stuff, you can see incredible results in your life, right? Now, the first two things I said were fact, right? And apparently, I don't know if it's true or not, it just sounds good, right? Like I said, I don't know NLP, but it sounds pretty good. And the saying goes, if you say two things that are readily accepted by the mind as a fact, the third thing is more readily accepted by the mind as a fact. So the third statement, apparently this is the third statement, the third statement that I made, well, let's go through them. You registered, fact. You're here right now, fact. And you know that if you apply this stuff, you can have really significant changes in your life. Opinion, right? But I just use the triple fact method. So that's step number one, right? We're setting it up. Step number two is you say the reason why intro, right? And that's why you're going to want. So if I just said, and you know that if you apply this stuff, you can really see dramatic changes in your life. Now I'm segmenting into step number two, and that's why you're going to want, so literally, it was a sentence, right? And that's why you're going to want my new product, right? So, and that's why you're going to want the buy more stuff system. So now we start going into big benefits. So if you want to, let's say I'm selling the consulting product, right? So if you want to learn how to attract customers into your consulting practice, right? And I'm going to list all the benefits now. If you want to learn how to attract customers into your consulting practice, if you want to learn how to generate leads, if you want to learn how to only talk to people who know who you are, know how much you charge, and have jumped through hoops to talk to you, if you want to know how to have a selling process that's not high pressure, that's really friendly, that helps everybody no matter what, and if you want to know how to tie all of this together into an elegant system that can give you dependable and consistent results, then this is just for you. So what I just did right there was step three. Does that show up for y'all? Yeah. So step three was if you want, and I listed the main benefits of the thing I'm selling, right? Leads, jumping through hoops to talk to you, know what you sell, easy conversion process. If you want X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3, then this is just for you. So I'll go through it again. Hey, you know what? You registered for this webinar, you're here right now, and you know that if you implement this stuff, you can see really significant changes in your life. And that's why you're going to want my Super System 2000. Look, you know, if you want to learn how to benefit 1, benefit 2, benefit 3, benefit 4, benefit 5, however many, then this is specifically just for you. So now we're all the way up to step number 4. We're just building into the offer here. Okay, we're building into the offer. Now, the next step is going to be the walkthrough, right? So in this step, let's see if I have examples. Nope, I don't. So, oh, hang on, sorry, y'all. Bing. This step is going to be the walkthrough. So you say, now here, come back to me. Oh yeah, thank you. So this is just for you. So what you're getting is, and now you actually walk them through the product. So let's say it was my client acquisition system, right? Which is actually awesome. Some of you guys might have it. If you do, let me know you like it. I always like to know I help people, right? So you would say, yeah, so this is just for you. So here's what you're going to get in the client acquisition system. In week number 1, we're going to identify the perfect model for you. We're going to actually figure out the best schedule, and we're going to figure out how to manage everybody. In the second week, we're going to find out who the people are that are most likely to pay you what it is that you want, and we're going to learn how to cut out tire kickers and people you have to chase from your life forever. In week number 3, we're actually going to find the most attractive bribe we can give to them in order to get them to raise their hand and say to you, hey, listen, I need help. In week number 4, you're going to learn the exact scripting and the exact system to have these people asking you to talk to them, knowing full well who you are and what you charge and how you do it. And finally, we're going to show you exactly what to say to those people once you are on the phone with them that'll turn them into paying clients without you feeling like a sketchy salesperson, right? So notice I just did the walk through there, okay? Telling them really here are the benefits. I did it kind of quickly, right? Because I'm not trying to pitch you this thing right now, but that's really how you go about doing it, okay? So that's step number 5, all right? We're doing pretty good on time too. How do you like them apples? All right, so that's step number 5. The next thing we want to do is we want to value build and give the retail price. Now let's see how I do this, what examples I have here. Yeah, cool. All right, so in this case, where's my play button? There it is. All right, bing, bing, bing. So let me show you how I do it, okay? So I think we should probably stick it, I don't think they can really see that well, so let's do, yeah, on the screen there. So notice these are actual slides. So I would say now I'm value building this little thing over here. Oh, look, you can see my mouse. Awesome. So this little thing over here, I'm saying, hey, look, you know, typical modulated classes like this, the last one I sold was Magic Model, it was $10,000. I recently did a 3-day workshop with a couple people, and that was $8,000 per head. I've had a group coaching program that's $3,860 per month. If we were to take that throughout the time of this program, that'd be $15,440. The total value of this thing, based just on what other people have paid for similar things in the past X amount of time, is $33,440. Right? So I'm building the value there. And now what we want to do is we want to do something called a value drop. Now here's the deal. Don't make this up, okay? Don't be lying. Don't be saying, yeah, this sells for XYZ and you've never sold it before. Just say, hey, other people sell stuff like this for this amount of money, right? And if no one ever sells anything like that and you don't have an actual value build, you could say, listen, frankly, I've never sold this thing before and I'm not sure I ever will again. This could potentially be a very limited offer, but you know what? What would it be worth to you if you got 10 new clients in your practice just by focusing on the people who are most likely to pay you? Well, if your average client is worth $2 and you got 10 of them, that would be $20,000 in value right there. You could also do it that way. Point being, please don't make stuff up. So our next phase here is we want to give a retail price because this is going to allow us to do a further price drop. So I can say something like, but I'm not going to charge you $33,440 today. Instead, if you enroll today during our time together, you can have it for 3 payments of $3,800. Or, now notice if you do the math here, 3 payments of $3,800 is $10,000, so $11,400, is that right? No math involved in this. I'm trying to do math publicly in my head. As you know, math is not an exact science. So I say, or you can save $3,000 and make 1 payment of $8,400. That's a decoy price. And I say, but I want to do one better for you. Instead, what I'd like to allow you to do is save $3,000 off of that initial price and make just 3 payments of $2,800, or save $5,000 off that initial price in total and make just 1 payment of $6,400. Right? So we're dropping the price. So you build the value here. You get them like, oh man, that's a lot, but it's cheaper than $33,000 over here. And then you say, but you know what? You can have it for an even better deal here. So that is a value build example and price drop from an actual pitch that I've done in the past. Hang on, I gotta get some water here. I think I should talk more in real life so I could do these things without losing my voice. Okay, so that was that. So we did the price drop. So our next step is gonna be risk reversal, right? So it's really hard to sell something without a guarantee. So you really, really, really wanna have a guarantee in that. And guarantee is pretty simple, right? So one of the ones I like to do is like, hey, listen, I don't know. I'm not psychic. I don't know if you're going to take this class and your life is going to change. I think it will. I think if you implement all of these things, you're going to be thrilled. But listen, rather than trying to convince you of that and pretend that I'm a mind reader, which I'm not, how about I do one really better for you? Why don't you go through this entire class, kick all the tires, download everything, put it to work, go out and get some clients. See what happens. And if you haven't earned what you wanted to earn, or if it wasn't fun, or if you didn't like it, or for no reason whatsoever, at the end of the class, just let me know. I'll give you a full refund, and guess what? You don't even have to send anything back. How's that for fair? So that's risk reversal, right? That's a really solid risk reversal offer, and guess what? If you're selling something digitally downloadable, it's not like they have to send anything back anyway, so you might as well make a big deal out of it and let them know. It's not like you got to send anything back. What, am I going to lobotomize you? You know what I mean? Although that would be kind of funny if you were like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to remove this knowledge from your mind now. Pretty good. So what kind of marketers would we be if we didn't have a bonus? We'd be terrible marketers. That's marketing 101. So after you do the risk reversal, now you want to offer a bonus. You want to say, but you know what? If that is not enough, if this discount and me being willing just to let you have it for nothing if it doesn't work for you, or if you're not happy for any reason or no reason whatsoever, if that's not enough to push you over the edge right now, I want to do one more thing for you that'll be really special. I decided to give you this bonus, and your bonus should always be very, very valuable. Ideally, the bonus is going to be as valuable or more than the thing that you're selling in the first place. Now, you don't have to have one, right? You can do it without a bonus. I've done it without a bonus, but which is going to work better? Bonus, no bonus, right? Now, no bonus is better than nothing at all, okay? So I can guarantee you're going to make more doing something than if you do nothing, but if you can, add a bonus, right? Step number 10 is simply to recap, right? So you just position your bonus. And so now you're like, okay, so to recap, here's everything you're getting today. Number one, you're getting the Super Duper System 2000. Here's what we're going to do. Week number one, we're going to do this. Week number two, we're going to do this. Week number three, we're going to do this. This is going to be absolutely amazing, right? And by the way, similar things are sold for $34,000. I'm not going to charge you $34,000. If you order it today, you're going to get this ridiculous discount of 87% off or whatever. You can have it right now for $6,400. Okay, so you do that. And then you say, and by the way, like I told you, if you don't think it's the greatest thing ever, let me know. I'll send you back all your money. You can keep it anyway. Look, I don't want, just keep it. Who knows, maybe you'll revisit it. Maybe you'll get better results down the road. If you're happy, I'm happy. I just want you to be successful. Okay? And then, by the way, if you take advantage of this during the special presentation, you're also going to get this bonus. Okay? Now, I've already said that stuff before, but you got to recap, right? You have to recap. So even the stuff that we pay for, we don't retain, right? So you got to tell them over and over again what they're getting. All right, so now we're going to recap. And by the way, when you order during the special promotion, you can also have this bonus. This bonus sells for X billion dollars. Here's what you're going to get in the bonus. Should you try to really hard to build the value of the thing in the bonus? Yes or no? I mean, it's a bonus. It's free, right? I mean, if it's free, why do you have to tell them how great it is? Because, dude, you always have to try, right? You got to sell everything. Okay, everything, you got to build the value in every single thing. So yes, build the value in the bonus. So by the way, this bonus is worth, whatever it's worth, and here's what it's going to do for you, and really tell them how that bonus is going to help them. You don't want to make them want to buy that freaking bonus, right? So now you've recapped everything, okay? And finally, here's an example of it, but I just walked you through an example, so I don't need to be redundant. Okay, so the next thing we want to have in this equation is scarcity. All right, if you can do it legitimately, don't make up the damn scarcity, right? Don't say it's never going to be available again, and they're like, oh, it's available tomorrow, right? Now, you can say it's never going to be available again if you use automation and you set cookies and you make it where that particular viewer can't get access to it again. Then I think you're okay, but don't do the thing where the timer resets every day and it's, I mean, come on. Don't give us a black eye. Nobody likes marketers anyway, all right? So we don't want to contribute to that. We want to show the world a better side of our community, okay? But you do want to use scarcity. So typically, if you're doing it during a limited promotion, say, listen, obviously this is an incredible example. There's no way I'm going to make this available forever. This is available only to you right now because you're in this promotion. And when the promotion's over, this is gone. Okay, this is it. So I'm not going to do this for every single person. That's one reason. That's simply a promotion-based. Another one is it could be user-based, right? So I'll do this a lot of times if I'm taking something where I'm actually working with people live. I'll say, look, this class is limited to 200 people, and I'd love to take more, but I'm talking to you guys every Thursday at 10. I'm answering your questions. If I take more than 200 people in there, I'm not going to be able to do a good job. There's going to be a billion questions. You're going to be frustrated. So it's limited. So you can either get in now or you could potentially miss it. That's another way to do it. Another way to do it is time bonus. So I can say, hey, listen, the class, you're selling a class or whatever, hey, the class starts on Monday the 97th, right? That's a real date. And registration is closing because we're starting, right? That's another way to do it. But your scarcity should be legit. In fact, as MC Hammer once wisely said, it should be too legit to quit. It should be, I like saying that with a straight face, it should be an unquittable level of legitimacy. And finally, now your next step is to give them a very clear call to action, which is, here's what I want you to do next. Now, during everything that we've said, all the way from step number 1 until now, you should have like your add to cart button. It should be showing, right? So they need to be able to see that thing. So they already have the order button up in your webinar or whatever, or if you're doing it on GoToWebinar Live or something, you got your, hey, go to buymystuff.com and you got the little picture or your web address is written there in the slides. But still, tell them what to do anyway. That's step number 12. So here's what I want you to do right now. You should see a button that says buy this thing right now. Click on that button. The first thing it's going to do is going to ask you for your email address and your contact info. That's so we can send you your username and password. Okay, once you click that, you're going to be taken to the payment page. Okay, I want you to enter your payment details. Immediately after seeing that, here's the 3 things that's going to happen. You're going to get an email from us. You're going to get access to the members area. Gold bullion is going to fall from the sky. I probably wouldn't say that. That's obviously a joke, right? But literally walk them through exactly what you want them to do right now, because we need to be told exactly what to do. And if you do all of these things, I know I went through it really, really quickly, but hey, might as well give you the best I can, right? So if you do all of these things, you've just made a really, really rock solid pitch. But if you do, hang on. If you do this, right, without this, you're screwed, right? Giving people immediately actionable information and helping them in advance facilitates this. you can screw this up. And if you do a good enough job here by actually demonstrating you can help them, by actually helping them, God forbid, novel concept, right? Then this is going to be relatively simple for you to do because they already like you, right? The results speak for themselves. Like the metaphor I like to use is what this book is meant to be. Now, by the way, everything we just did, right? You transcribe this thing, you get it edited, and if you leave that offer part in there, now you got a book that makes a sale. Now, I actually don't have that in my books because I built the content part before really building the offer part in a lot of cases. So a lot of these things were built prior to the offer being finalized, right? So I don't have sales letters in my book, but by all means, if you go ahead and record it and your pitch is good, put the dang pitch in the back of the book. Do you know how many people have bought these and come up to me at events and been like, okay, dude, something's wrong with my book. Okay, so I get here and I'm on page 75, all right, and they say, dude, I'm on page 75, and it says, I've given you the roadmap and blueprints to do this. Now the ball's in your court. Get out there and get to work. Do good things. Help people follow those steps, and you can't lose. And then there's nothing else, and there's no sales letter. So you might want to call your printer. And I'm like, oh no, dude, I didn't have the thing I just did it wrong, right? So, I mean, put the freaking offer in the book if you can, right? Now, don't let lack of the offer get in your way of creating the book by any means, because, hey, look, neither of these have the offer in them. Doing real good, no problems, right? But you're going to want to go ahead and do that. So, if you follow this framework, you can build a hideous webinar, doesn't matter, you, dark room, nobody's watching, you just record yourself going through these steps right here, you transcribe that, have it edited, you got yourself a book, right? Think about this pitch while the book's being edited, then go ahead and build a webinar that sells your main thing or some kind of funnel that sells your main thing, and you'll be gold, right? And look at that, the timing is unbelievably perfect. This concludes this section of today's training, and I think, if you're still in here. Tyler, we have any questions? I'll take a couple questions or something if people are still on. Because y'all can't hear him, but he's going to read them to me, and then I'll repeat them. We're that high class over here. Yeah. Dude, it doesn't matter. Well, you don't want to have like 10 minutes. I've had them 3 hours. Actually, the pitch. Oh, you're insinuating that they're not psychic, and y'all were unable to hear him because he's not mic'd up. I see. Aren't you fancy? Okay, the question was, how long should the webinar typically be? Sorry. Dude, make it, ideally, make this part, around an hour to 45 minutes, and then your pitch part can be forever, right? As long as you're actually providing value and doing a good job on the pitch, it doesn't matter. You just want to make sure this is good. But you should have this, steps 1 through 4, be about 45 minutes to an hour. I have had them be around 3 hours long. So a lot of mine will go on forever. And I overdo it. Every time I overdo it in the payoff. So my webinars don't convert as well, but again, I don't care, right? A webinar to me isn't to make a sale. A sale is a very good byproduct of a webinar. But what a webinar really is for me is to demonstrate value, get a couple of sales to make it worth doing, but then I know in the follow-up, the people that attended that thing, if I do them right, over the next couple of days, they're going to buy even more. Okay, let's see. Oh, now he's coming. He's coming in. Y'all be cool. Tyler's coming. The virality of the book? Okay, so the question is, does having a sales letter in the back of the book make the book less shareable? Will the virality of the book go down? My answer is, I don't care. This book is for sale. If someone wants to pass the book around 10 million times to people, it doesn't bother me, but nor if nobody ever passed this book around, nor would I care. The sole purpose of this book is to turn a buyer in need into a buyer with confidence and capability. It does that. If I put a sales letter at the end of it, that sales letter is not going to now remove that confidence and capability from the buyer. So, no, I don't think it would hurt. And if it did hurt the shareability and virus, I wouldn't care, right? Because it doesn't matter to me because that's not why I write books. I write books to get buyers and help those buyers and turn them into buyers with confidence and capabilities so I can continue to help them. Oh man, almost always VSL. Yeah. Oh, dude, again, I forgot to read the question. Okay, or to answer the question. So he said, the question was, if you're making a pitch, like a one-click upsell pitch or whatever, or maybe even a pitch for the book, what's better, a VSL or straight to camera? VSL is like when you're using PowerPoint or whatever, and straight to camera is me talking to you. Almost always it's going to be PowerPoint and stuff. I've actually not really split tested this in all honesty, but I did in the last big launch I did, which was almost 3 years ago, because I'm not really that big into launches. I prefer assets that create money. What I did was I did a little test, and the first video was like high production. It was awesome. It was the one where I got the BMW and the rolls and they're side by side and all that kind of stuff. And then the other videos where I'd be on camera for like a second to introduce it, and then it's all screen cam. Spent a ton making the first one all fancy. Guess which one's got the most viewership? Like engagement, meaning guess which ones people watch the most of? Yes, the ones that was just PowerPoint. But that's great for me because you don't have to make yourself look fancy. You don't have to come to a studio. You can just sit there on your computer and yap into the microphone, right? Yes, the book is the same content as the webinar. Yep. Now you can go back, right, and make your pitch webinar different. So what I just told you to do is to build a webinar that really the focus of that webinar. I showed you this just because, hey, while we're making a webinar, I might as well show you how to make an awesome webinar, right? It would be remiss of me to be like, okay, I'm not going to show you these other two parts, right? I'm just going to be a butthole, right? So no, I wanted to show you everything I could. But that first pass at it is to get the content of your book out of your head into a usable format so you can turn it into a book. Otherwise, you're going to be like this, staring at the dreaded blank page, right? That's what the dreaded blank piece of orange construction paper going, chapter 1. Oh, this is taking forever, right? So typically, what you're going to do is you're going to build the one that really gets, the main focus is this, these 4 steps right here. You're going to get that transcribed, edited, turned into a book, and most people who don't know what the main thing is yet, they're going to kind of be stewing on what the main thing is, and then they'll go and they'll record the pitch webinar later, okay? But in the event that you nail it the first time, nothing wrong with at all with the book being a direct transcript of the webinar. So a ton of this is in the webinar, right? The only thing missing from my webinar in this book is the pitch. This book just doesn't have the pitch, but it is freaking dang near verbatim what's in my webinar for client acquisition. And webinar for client acquisition is very, very good. It's very, very helpful, as is this book. So that kind of circles back to the point. It's all about taking someone from buyer in need to buyer with capabilities and confidence. And notice it's not just buyer with confidence. It's buyer with capabilities and confidence. So that's why this sucker right here, it's got to deliver, man. It has to be really freaking good in terms of what you're telling them to do, right? That's it. So if you get it on the webinar, get it recorded, transcribed, edited, you got yourself a really, really good book.
Right. You got some people who have books in other spaces like CreateSpace and Kindle. Pull them off those platforms and sell them digitally as you described?
I would if your mission is to have a book funnel. Oh, got it. Thank you. I keep forgetting to do it. I'm so sorry. So the question was, I don't know why, I just assume you guys can hear what Tyler says with no mic. If we have a mic, if it would be easy to mic him up, let's do it. If it's a pain in the ass, we won't. And you can just be off camera if you want to. You can be like the disembodied voice, you know? Like, yeah, that would be like a phantom, like, does he exist? So the question was, if you got a book on CreateSpace or Amazon or something like that, should you pull it off of there and sell it digitally? I don't think you have to pull it off of there, but you should definitely sell it using a book funnel. You can do it digitally, you can do free plus shipping, you can sell it whatever you want to sell it for, but it's going to be hard to do it in the book funnel context if the orders are being processed through a third party like CreateSpace or whatever, because you won't be able to do the one-click upsells. Amazon, I don't think you get the customer data, so you can't follow up with them, etc. So if it's working over there, don't take it off, but augment it. For example, our man Dean Graziosi with Millionaire Success Habits, you can go buy that on Amazon all day. Right? You can also buy it from his book funnel all day. He sells about 250 of them a day through his book funnel, profitably. Wonder where they got the funnel structure from. I know, this, right? He's a good friend of mine. Walked him through it. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it, just add to it, right? So are you mic'd? Do I need to read that again? Okay, are these strategies exclusive to self-help industries, or can you apply them to other industries? So, can they see this again, Sass? The thing? The whiteboard? I'm going to revisit this back. Okay? All right. Okay. Earlier we were like, what can you ultimately sell with a book funnel? Okay? Classes and courses, right? Clearly. I do it with marketing, right? Brendan does it with self-help. Dean does it with self-help. Russell Brunson did it with marketing. Jeff Walker did it with marketing. Tony Robbins did it with finance. Okay, so we got that. You can sell services. Pete Egoscue did it with come into a clinic and lay around on the ground and get all weird and contorted, but miraculously, your back doesn't hurt anymore. Now he's got 21 locations. He didn't even have a book funnel. He just had a book and it kind of worked. That's kind of rare, by the way. You want to actually engineer it. Joe Polish, right? No self-help going on over there. You know I love you, Joe, but I am going to mess with you. You ain't going to get any self-help with my main man, Joe Polish. All right, so his book ultimately leads to a $25,000 mastermind. My man, Lawrence Bensdorp, right? His book goes straight into coaching for learning how to trade stocks and stuff. Body for Life, which was Bill Phillips, sold consumables. All right, so they buy the book. The book is like, hey, you need to make all these shakes and stuff. Use this Myoplex thing, all right? Ended up selling EAS for a couple $100 million, I think. Don't quote me on that. It was hearsay. But a lot. Enough to where he was like, yay, you know? That's really cool, right? Of course, continuity is what my main thing is, right? So I have the current inner circle, which is great. You can use it to sell consulting. So really just about anything it can be used for. You don't have to pigeonhole it. My buddy Matt Zagula, a client member as well in the inner circle, financial services, right? Ain't no self-help going on with Zagula either. He's a friend of mine as well. I can tell you that right now. He is far from the self-help space. So book funnels work. I'm not comfortable saying they work universally. I mean, surely there's somewhere where it wouldn't be appropriate. I just haven't seen one yet, a market where it wouldn't be appropriate. And by appropriate, I mean it wouldn't be helpful, right?
Dan asks, do you use the webinar to sell the main thing or the Slack adjuster, or a webinar for both?
Are you mic'd?
Yes.
Tyler's mic'd. The disembodied voice of Tyler Durden Dorsey. Okay, so when I started, all right, with my first book funnel, my client acquisition system was really my main thing, right? And so I really didn't have anything else. Since then, I've built the Current Inner Circle, which is a continuity program, which is awesome. There's probably a lot of members watching it. So if y'all were here, say hey. Tell everyone that you like it, assuming you do. Can't imagine why you would be here if you didn't, really. So please tell everyone how much you enjoy it. So it could be both, right? You could also not have a webinar at all, right? This thing that I just showed you, there we go. This guy right here, you don't actually have to present the webinar to people if you don't want to. The first function of this webinar, the first function of this webinar is to get it out of here, recorded, transcribed, turned into a book. So if you never want to even use the webinar, it doesn't matter. My man Lawrence, who sells the stock coaching stuff, no webinar at all, right? It is book, and then, hey, if you want me to help you learn how to do all this stuff and like really help you implement what you learned in the book, we can talk, I can do it. Boom, client's $3,200. That's it, that's its entire funnel. Right? It's a Zagula in financial services. No webinar whatsoever. Right? Zero. It is book. Would you like me to help you with your estate planning? Boom. Right into it. Me, love webinar. Okay? Crazy about a webinar. I got one. It's really good. Brendan, I don't think he has a webinar. I think he goes book, one-click upsells, video sequence for an automated launch. Right? Dean's got a webinar. Don't think Walker did. Can't remember. Right? Joe doesn't have a webinar. Joe Polish doesn't have a webinar. So you don't have to use it. You got to understand webinar's dual purpose. It can get book material out of your head, out of your mouth, recorded. Now it's a book, and it can sell things. But the two are not mutually exclusive. Okay.
Alrighty, Greg Curtis wants to know, do you prepare for webinar with the dress rehearsal, or do you just launch it warts and all?
No, I just launch it words and all. Yeah. And dude, so here's the thing. Okay, so you've seen us. We've screwed up during this thing, right? And I'm like, all right, which one am I looking at and stuff? And I was going through the comments with Tyler, and I'm like, and Andrew's like, oh, dude, we messed up with the mic wasn't on. I'm like, I think people actually enjoy it when it's more real anyway. And the comments actually confirmed that. So as long as you're relaxed in doing it, and you're not freaking yourself out, and you're not stiff, and you're just being nice and helping people, You can screw up on the webinar a million times. I mean, I screwed up trying to show you the coolest part. I was like, I can't wait to show them what yesterday's numbers and this morning's numbers were, and then I forgot to like build one of the slides this morning. It was at 6:30 in the morning. Then I got them out of order, and I'm having to be like, wait, where the hell was the slide? Didn't matter. You guys still had a good time, right? So if you want to do a dress rehearsal, do it, but just do it, okay? Just get one done. And especially if the only purpose of the webinar is to make the book, because you can screw up in the book all the time, in the webinar and the transcripts, and your editor is going to cut that out. Remember the golden rule. Make webinar, record it, get it transcribed, never look at the transcriptions, okay? This is you. When they send you the transcriptions, you're like, you go to your friend, you go, dude, would you forward these transcriptions to the editor? I don't want to see them. Because if you see them, you're going to be like, what in the mother of all that is holy is this crap? Because it's all these run-on sentences and the grammar's going to look weird and you're going to be like, oh, this sucks, don't use it. But then if you send it to an editor and you get back what the editor sends you, which again is someone on Fiverr for like $100, seriously, I mean, I'd love to make it sound like there's some magical process for finding an editor on Fiverr. There's not. Go to Fiverr.com, click on Writing and Editing Services, click on Editing, choose whoever's got really good ratings, go, will you edit this thing? They'll be like, yeah, that's it. There's nothing to it at all. What you get back from them, that's either going to be completely usable or about 80% there where you're going to want to go in and tweak stuff. So it's so much better. But whatever you do, don't try to make the webinar perfect if you're just transcribing it for a book. And don't look at the damn transcripts. I made that mistake myself, trust me. Almost lost a whole method because I was like, there's no way this is going to come out well. But I trusted the process, sent it to an editor, it came out perfect.
Very nice. Chad's in personal development, and he wants to know, would you recommend a webinar as a sales vehicle for a coaching program versus 3 videos that break the webinar up into 3 parts, making it more digestible?
Well, what I'd really recommend is both, my good man. So, a webinar is very similar in structure to a product launch. It's just delivered all at once, right? So, you know, you teach like the 3 big things in a webinar. What I would do is I would say, dude buys book, invite to webinar. If they don't buy from the webinar, dude goes into automated launch sequence. Launch sequence video number 1 is the big secret you taught, the first big secret from the webinar. Video number 2 is second big secret from the webinar. Video number 3 is third big secret from the webinar. Video number 4 is apply for my coaching or consulting or whatever. Double dipping, same content, right? So think about this, really. All right, this is, by the way, it's called content compounding. This is a method that I teach in some of my stuff. I'll tell you about it tomorrow, actually. So what content compounding means is you take one concept, one bit of your intellectual property, and you expand that into multiple assets. Think about it. Intellectual property for consultants, right? Okay, to really grow a successful company, you need to generate leads of the perfect people. You need to have a sequence and a process that makes those leads know who you are, know how much you charge, ask you to talk to them, and jump through some hoops, and then you got to have a process to actually turn those people into clients without being weird. That was the intellectual property, right? I know how to do that. Then I recorded how to do that, and I turned it into a book. Then I did a better job of recording how to do that, and then I turned it into a webinar. Then I did another job of how to do that, and I turned it into a value video sequence. All same thing, 3 different assets now. Okay, so you can keep reusing the same assets in different parts. You see. So that's why I really can't illustrate strongly enough what we said this morning, which is the shift to the billionaire mentality. If you missed it, you missed out, which is we never want to think products and promos, we want to think assets. How can we create things that will continually pay off forever? And if you make that shift and you start looking at even something so simple as a book, then you'll realize, well, wait a minute, if I build this is something I could use for years. Guess when I wrote this thing? 2012, I think. It might actually have the copyright date in here somewhere. Oh, it doesn't have it anymore. Yeah, I think it was 2012 I wrote the first one, right? And then I made like, I think a slight adjustment to it when I re-released it last year. It's still selling. This has been my main funnel since May of 2016. Same thing, dude, all day, every day. Built it once, pays forever, right? That's an asset. Next question. So weird not having y'all here, by the way, to like listen to that. I never get used to that.
Right.
You know.
Quincy wants to know, how do you provide excellent content for your webinar and book without taking away the need for your product or service?
Oh, dude, there's always going to be a need for the product or service, right? I mean, you could take, for example, this is actually a classic proof of that right now. So everything that I just told you to do is really it. That's all you need to do. But if I were to say, okay, and now if you really enjoyed this, we're going to have a workshop, and I'm going to walk you through each one of these steps individually, and I'm really going to help you do it. There's a percentage of people who are like, oh, dude, sign me up. That sounds great, right? We always want more. Why is it that we always want more? Because what is a book buyer? They're a book what? A book buyer. What did we learn? A buyer is a buyer is a buyer is a buyer. They're always going to want more stuff. Not all of them, right? But a percentage of them are going to want to keep on continuing the journey. Okay, so make it as good as you can. Help them as best you can. Like, don't worry about like, oh, I'm going to help them too much. They're not going to want it. The only thing you want to avoid is bogging them down. Bogging them down is getting them tied up in so much minutia that they get bored. And they're like, oh, I can't, I don't want to do it. Right? That's your only disadvantage. You're never going to over-help them in any of this stuff.
Alrighty, Martin wants to know, what do you suggest, or would you suggest inserting humor to emphasize key points with wide contrasts?
Okay, one more time.
Would you suggest inserting humor to emphasize key points?
I guess. Yeah, I mean, why not, you know? But don't do it for the sake of being funny. Like, don't try to be cutesy or whatever. So if you could just be like, here's what to do and here's why to do it, great. If you can make that funny, great, but don't sacrifice the quality of the information with humor, you know?
Bob wants to know, do you add images to your book normally?
Yeah, guess what they are? You're going to love this. You're never going to guess what they are. Hang on. Oh, wait, maybe these. Oh, come on. Where is it? Yeah. Okay. Look. How can I show this? Can I walk up to one of these cameras, Sassy? Can I do that? Oh. Are they going to show? Oh, man, you're not going to get on camera? Guys, he will have recognized our cameraman and videographer from so many Calvin Klein underwear commercials. Usually he's the guy just like standing to the side going, what's up? What are you doing later? Okay, so see these? Oh, this one right there? Guess what that image is taken from? Oh, wait, this one is backwards. See this one right here? Guess what that image is taken from? Is anyone going to guess? Can you read the comments? I want to have people guess and see if they're right. Guess where these images are taken from. That's all I needed to do. Any guessers? Guessers. Do we have any guesses, ladies and gentlemen? 100 points to a guesser. There might be a delay. Oh, there could be a delay. That's right. Dang it. Okay, well, I'm just going to screw you out of using 100 points. Images are taken from the webinar. Images are taken right from the dang old webinar. Come on. That's it, right?
Alrighty, Vivian wants to know, she was taught at other webinars that she needs to create a relationship before she can sell. Can she sell the first time she does an ad on Facebook and use that system? Yes, you should. Yeah, so if we can... Oh, like all the guesses are coming in.
Oh, all the guesses? Oh, sorry, guys. Everyone wins 100 points now. The first, you don't have to show it. The first 4 steps of the webinar, confirmation, difference, bond, and payoff, guess what that's doing? That's building a relationship, right? That is totally building the relationship right there. So yeah, as long as you do those first 4 parts, you should sell. And you know what you should also do? Is follow up with the people who buy with more value and restate the offer. That's where the real money is. So you got 2 choices on a webinar. You'd be like, I'm going to get them on the webinar, and I know that human nature dictates that we really shouldn't make an impulsive buying decision, but I'm going to fight human nature with everything I have, and I'm going to work super hard to get them to buy right now on this webinar. And then I'm going to sacrifice having a good relationship with them. Or I could just be like, hey man, human nature is human nature. Ain't no point in fighting it. I'm going to be real cool to these guys. I'm going to do the best job I can making the offer, but I'm surely not going to sacrifice the relationship I built with them. Instead, I'll just follow up with them later and see if I can serve them more and answer any questions they might have had and try to restate the offer. Guess which one works betterest? Door number 2, right? Do door number 2. Again, though, this webinar that I just showed you, like this works, but I really showed it to you so I could get you to do steps 1 through 4 and just get your dang book done. Because you'll get your book done. So if you don't have the thing to sell, if you're freaked out, just do step 1 through 4, get your book done. Guess what's going to happen? You're going to be like, holy crap, I have a book now. I'm extremely motivated to do the other stuff because I got the big thing done, right? Who's next, Tyler?
Brian says, you make this look so easy, Frank. Why aren't more people doing this? Is it fear or overwhelm?
I don't know. I don't believe anyone has ever publicly taught, hey, thousands of people, come and learn how to create a book funnel for absolutely nothing. So maybe no one's really been shown how to do it. I mean, is there a training on how to do it anywhere? I learned it by watching Brendan, and I was like, I saw Brendan do it. I called him, was like, dude, did that work? He's like, yeah, here's how to do it. I was like, I gotta go. Should have not have like hung up, right? I should have listened to him. He's a pretty smart guy. I'm like, okay, I watched everything. I'm gonna do it. And you know what? It worked. I just modeled what he did, and I was like, I'll be damned. And the first one, some of y'all who've been around for a while, I like didn't even have a title for the book. I was like, screw it, I want to do this. This is gonna be awesome. So I got newsletters that I'd written in 2005 called the Underachiever Method, and they were really good newsletters, and I put an archive of them, a couple hundred pages, and I put them into a book format. It was a spiral-bound book format, and I couldn't even come up with a title, so I put a big question mark on the book, and I presented the book as, this is called the book with the big-ass question mark on the cover. And that was the name of the book, because I didn't want to wait around. I'm like, screw it, I'll just see what happens, and it worked. And I made money doing it, and there wasn't even really a back end. It was just buy the book, one-click upsells, the end, right? And here's what's amazing. So that was in 2011 when I did my first one. And guess what the one-click upsell was for that? Video black box. Guess what my one-click upsell is right now, all these years later? Video black box. This is what I mean. If you stop thinking about products and promotions, what's the newest thing I can do, and start thinking about assets, you can create a thing one time that will continue to pay you forever. I've been selling video black box every single day since 2011. It's really good. Whereas someone with a fragmented attention span that doesn't realize it's not about products and promotions, it's about assets, long-term success, would have gone on and created a million other things, right? It's unnecessary. Let's get a system, put the system in place, keep doing what works. Okay. I like to end every question with okay. Because I keep thinking it's Saturday. Today's Friday, isn't it? Yeah, it's Saturday, because it's Saturday. It's Friday from the movie Friday. How you gonna get fired on your day off, Craig? Look, man, it's Friday. You ain't got no job.
Is this worth pursuing if you only have a few $100s for ads?
Well, yes, if you take a real rough look in the mirror and go, what in the hell have I done to get myself into the situation where I only have a few $100s for ads? And then the second question is that really true? Do I really only have a few $100s for ads? What if I stop spending money in these categories which don't really serve me, that I enjoy, but they don't really serve me, right? What if I like ate at home instead of going out to dinner? What if I didn't smoke cigarettes? What if I didn't buy beer every Saturday? Not to say you are, I don't even know who's asking the question, right? But the bigger thing that I want to address is how did that happen? And with all of the unbelievable resources and opportunity that are available to every single one of us, what can we do to fix that problem immediately? And a lot of times something's going on here. I don't even know who's answering the question or asking the question, so please don't take it personally. I'm not trying to be a dick. But that's rarely a factor of, well, you know, something didn't work or blah, 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 or I didn't come from the right family or I don't have the right degree or whatever. I didn't either. Okay, so fix that. Whatever it is, let's get that fixed. Like, it usually starts with a rough look in the mirror. That's not fun a lot of times. I've been through it several times, and it's worth the effort to do. Probably not a really, we got to have another one because that's not a fun one to end on, you know, but I'm not going to give you a bullshit answer. You know what I mean? Yeah, bro, do it. Only $200, you'll be a billionaire. Now it's going to be hard. And especially if you're in that situation, something's going on that's got you there, and we got to fix that as well.
We got a lot of questions. Is any webinar softwares you recommend?
Yeah, sure. EverWebinars, awesome.
Karma wants to know, what about presentations like Russell Brunson's that don't have much actionable stuff, just stories? How do those work out versus education?
I like his stuff. So I don't know. I get a lot of stuff. You know, I learn from his stories. So I watched some of his stuff recently. That's where I got the idea to make this thing from, to draw. I was like, man, Russell got away with just drawing stuff. You know, you see how pretty my slides are. I was like, I don't want to have to make those slides. I wonder if it'll work if I can just draw things. So I think stories can actually be very, very beneficial. And I'll tell you now, his stuff, if you were to do a webinar battle, right? And if I had to pitch the same thing that he had to pitch, he would sell more than me. Okay, he definitely would. Now, I like Russell's stuff. I like him. So I would maybe have better long-term success with that same audience because I nurture them a little bit more and make it in the follow-up and kind of do that results in advance thing. But I don't know, man. I think old Russell stuff is pretty good.
Alrighty, JP says, you always come up with great names and super simplistic concepts for your programs. Do you just come up with these or do you spend time brainstorming them?
I come up with super simplistic things because from the age of 15 until like 41, I partied like Keith Richards. And as a result of that, I have roughly 14 functional brain cells, and 7 of those 14 are staring at the other 7, wondering if they're going to attack. So I don't really have that much mental capacity. So for me, it's got to be super simple, right? So it's just a function of like, I am physically incapable and mentally incapable of handling great deals of complexity. So for anything to work, I've got to keep it super simple. By the way, if you want the notes to this, I think a couple people asked, it'll be delayed if you want these slides for the webinar stuff. I've already got these ready to go, though if you want the drawings, just text notes to 858-239-1008. You'll get an automatic reply that's like, hey, are you sure it's cool for us to text you this stuff? You got to say yes, and it'll say, hey, what's your name and email address, and we'll send it to you. It's pretty cool. You can have it. I think the big PDF with all this stuff is ready to go. It's a giant file, so it's yours for the taking if you want it. All right, who next, Tyler?
JD said, which is the best platform to start advertising on, Google, YouTube, or Facebook?
I like the Facebooks. Facebooks are working pretty good. So here's the common thing about Facebook. People say, my people aren't going to be on Facebook. Nope. Dude, everybody's on Facebook. I mean, our president's on Twitter, which in and of itself is a little, you're like, okay. Are you talking to my teenage daughters on Twitter right now? I mean, you guys arguing over the Kardashians or something? But nonetheless, everybody's on social media. And what's cool about Facebook is their algorithm. All right? So what is not really talked about very much when it comes to getting traffic from Facebook is Facebook's got this algorithm that gets data from 2 billion people. And that algorithm will look at your ad, look who's responding to your ad, and then be like, we need to crawl through our database of 2 billion people and find more people like that. And if you give that sucker some time, you can really get amazing results on it. Everybody's there. You can be set up really, really quickly. For me, I think it's the best first step. And a lot of times, a lot of people, it's the only step because it works so well.
You threw the term EverWebinar out there. They want to know what that means.
Really? Oh, it's a software. Man, we should be affiliates for it. It's awesome. It's like the brother of Webinar Jam. So if you get Webinar Jam, they have this other thing called EverWebinar, it's automated webinar system. It rules. It's what we use. I can't believe everybody doesn't know about this thing. Andy Jenkins owns it. It's my neighbor, Andy, big muscular guy. It's awesome. Really, really cool software application. ClickFunnels does automated webinars too. I like EverWebinars a little more personally because you can't stop and start the webinar on EverWebinar on mobile, where if you use ClickFunnels, I probably could be using it wrong, but you can just stop the dang webinar at any time if you're on a mobile, and it's weird. That could be operator error. I am the least technically proficient person in the world, but my personal preference for that is EverWebinar. Love me some ClickFunnels, though, for building web pages and stuff, so it's really awesome. Yeah.
This person's afraid to speak on camera. They want to know if just a plain PowerPoint presentation would work in webinar style.
Oh yeah, all of my, well, not all of them. I'd say of my entire life, 2 of my webinars have not been PowerPoint, and only 2 have involved cameras. So I've done a lot. I've been doing this since 1999. So I rarely do a webinar where I'm direct to camera. Yeah, so no, talking on camera is scary, right? It's unnerving right now. It's a little better now because it's been a couple hours, but like, what, 11 this morning? I'm like, geez, I'm freaking out right now. I can't see y'all. For all I know, they're like they're like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. I'm just talking to this camera. You know, it's unnerving as hell. Totally cool to be on PowerPoint. That's it? Oh, all right. Thus ends our questions. Y'all, thank you so much. We're going to do this again tomorrow. We're going to start at 11 again, and man, you're in trouble tomorrow. I'll tell you what we're going to do. So we're going to begin by my giving you the frameworks for actually selling this stuff, right? So there is a framework for selling a book. There's a framework for a video sales letter that's educational for your one-click upsells. There's a framework for video sales letters that tell stories. I'm going to give you all of those frameworks first thing tomorrow, and then our second session tomorrow, I'm going to show you exactly what the 5 main information product types are that you can use as your main thing and that you can use as one-click upsells and bumps in your book funnel. On Sunday, I'm going to walk you through the 4 big ticket models that can be your main thing where the 10x profit multiplier lives. And I'm also going to be showing you something brand new. I call it the 7 commandments of online direct response. And this is really some rules. If you simply follow them, you will have a life of stress-free abundance and success in internet marketing. So I really hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching it. And I think it was a good time. I think it worked out pretty good. I'll see you in the morning